When you look at your life, you will discover that most of the battles you lost were not because the enemy was stronger, but because you were inconsistent. Inconsistency is the thief that enters without knocking. It steals quietly, slowly, gradually, until you wake up one day and realize your dreams have become distant memories. Many people pray for greatness, but they refuse to embrace consistency. Many people desire change, but they run away from discipline. My brothers and sisters, nothing changes until you change your routine. Nothing grows until you grow your commitment. Nothing manifests until you master consistency. You cannot pray for success in the morning and return to laziness in the afternoon. You cannot ask God for elevation while you sabotage yourself with inconsistency. The problem is not that you are weak. The problem is that you stop too quickly. You quit too soon. You abandon the process when it becomes uncomfortable. You withdraw your effort the moment it demands sacrifice. Listen to me, greatness is not a gift, it is a responsibility. And that responsibility requires consistency. Consistency is the bridge between prophecy and manifestation. Consistency is the path between promise and fulfillment. Consistency is the womb of transformation. Many people think the enemy blocks their progress, but sometimes it is your inconsistency that closes the door. You ask, why is my blessing delayed? It is because God cannot build on unstable ground. God cannot plant destiny in a soil that keeps shifting. God cannot grow purpose in a heart that keeps changing direction. If your commitment rises today and falls tomorrow, the seed will not take root. The blessing cannot stay where stability does not exist. Your future requires a version of you that is consistent, disciplined, and unshakable. You must force yourself to be consistent even when your feelings disagree. Feelings are unreliable, but discipline is dependable. Feelings change with the weather, but consistency builds character. When you look at champions, they are not champions because they feel strong every day. They are champions because they stay disciplined every day. Even on the days when their bodies scream, rest, their spirit says, rise. Even on the days when their minds say, stop, their purpose says, continue. Consistency is what separates the ordinary from the extraordinary. Consistency is what separates wishful thinkers from world changers. Consistency is what separates those who talk from those who transform. If you want to see the hand of God, give Him something steady to bless. God blesses patterns, not random moments. God blesses faithfulness, not occasional effort. God blesses those who show Him they are ready through consistency. You pray for breakthrough, but breakthrough requires persistence. You desire increase, but increase requires structure. You want God to trust you with more, but God first watches how you handle the little. If the little defeats you, the much will destroy you. If your discipline is weak at the small level, little, it will collapse at the greater level. God tests your consistency with small instructions before releasing big assignments. Many people fail not because they lack anointing, but because they lack consistency. They want the crown, but they avoid the commitment. They desire the throne, but they resist the training. My brothers and sisters, force yourself to be consistent because destiny is heavy. It requires shoulders that do not shake. It requires a spirit that does not run away. It requires a heart that can endure pressure with stability. There are habits you must break. There are distractions you must shut down. There are people you must walk away from, not because they are evil, but because they interrupt your consistency. Not everyone is assigned to your journey. Not everyone is qualified for your next season. Some people are comfort zones in human form, and comfort is the silent enemy of consistency. Comfort tells you to slow down. Comfort tells you to stop. Comfort tells you to settle. But God did not create you for comfort. He created you for purpose. Purpose stretches you. Purpose challenges you. Purpose demands consistency. Your purpose cannot grow in the soil of excuses. It only grows in the soil of discipline. Look at your life. Every moment you stopped pushing, things began to fall apart. Every time you stopped praying, something weakened inside you. Every time you stopped working, your vision became blurry. Every time you stopped seeking God, the enemy whispered louder. Consistency builds spiritual strength. Consistency sharpens discernment. Consistency keeps the fire burning. Fire does not die because God is absent. Fire dies because consistency stops. When you stop feeding the flame, it goes out. When you stop feeding your purpose, it becomes silent. When you stop feeding your discipline, your old habits return. This is why you must force yourself to be consistent. Discipline is not always pleasant, but it is always profitable. Consistency is not always comfortable, but it is always fruitful. When God gives you a dream, He watches how you treat it. Do you honor it with consistency, or do you abandon it when it becomes difficult? Dreams do not die because of demons. Dreams die because of neglect. The enemy does not need to destroy your destiny. He only needs to interrupt your consistency. If he can stop you from showing up, he can stop you from growing. If he can stop you from growing, he can stop you from rising. If he can stop you from rising, he can stop you from realizing your potential. Consistency is a shield. Consistency is a spiritual weapon. Consistency is a declaration to God that you value what He gave you. Consistency is proof of seriousness. You must force yourself to be consistent because there are certain blessings that only come through perseverance. Some breakthroughs require you to show up again and again until the door opens. Some answers require you to keep seeking until heaven responds. Some miracles require you to push beyond your comfort. God rewards the consistent because consistency reveals seriousness. God cannot trust you with more if you cannot sustain the little. Many people delay their own blessing because they want convenience, not commitment. They want results without routine. They want progress without persistence. But anything that comes without consistency cannot last. Anything that grows without discipline cannot survive. Anything that manifests without stewardship will soon disappear. Your destiny is calling for a stronger version of you, a disciplined version of you, a focused version of you, a version of you that does not negotiate with laziness, a version of you that does not bow to excuses, a version of you that does not surrender to distraction, a version of you that shows up even when tired, a version of you that works even when unmotivated, a version of you that prays even when your mind is noisy, a version of you that refuses to stop because stopping is no longer an option. When inconsistency has been your lifestyle for years, consistency will feel uncomfortable. Force yourself anyway. When excuses have been your companion for long, discipline will feel painful. Choose discipline anyway. When delay has been your story, persistence will feel strange. Embrace it anyway. Listen to me. Power grows when you stay consistent. Vision sharpens when you stay consistent. Faith increases when you stay consistent. Strength multiplies when you stay consistent. Nothing you repeat consistently remains ordinary. If you pray consistently, your spirit becomes sensitive. If you work consistently, your skills become excellent. If you study consistently, your mind becomes sharp. If you invest consistently, your future becomes stable. Everything you do consistently becomes powerful. The enemy fears consistent people because they are unstoppable. They do not rise and fall, they rise and rise. They do not start and quit, they start and grow. They do not lose momentum, they build momentum. But inconsistency destroys momentum. Momentum is the invisible force that helps you move faster toward your purpose. Once momentum is broken, you must restart. Restarting again and again is the frustration many people feel. They start today, stop tomorrow, start again next week, stop again next month. They live in a cycle of beginnings without progress. But when you force yourself to be consistent, you break the cycle. You build rhythm, you build strength, you build capacity, you build spiritual stamina, you build confidence. Confidence grows through consistency. Many people lack confidence because they lack consistency. They do not trust themselves because they have betrayed their own commitments too many times. But when you stay consistent, you rebuild trust with yourself. You restore confidence. You rebuild faith in your ability to follow through. Consistency protects you from regret. Regret is the painful memory of what you could have achieved but did not. Regret is the voice that says, you wasted time. Regret is the weight that people carry when they realize they delayed their own destiny. Regret comes from inconsistency. But when you force yourself to be consistent, you live with peace. Even when things take time, you know you stayed faithful. You know you gave your best. You know you honored your calling. You know you showed up. God does not require perfection. He requires consistency. Perfection is unreachable, but consistency is a choice. Every day you wake up, you choose your future. You choose discipline or distraction. You choose progress or procrastination. You choose growth or comfort. You choose obedience or excuses. And every choice shapes your destiny. Force yourself to be consistent because there are people waiting for the version of you that is disciplined and focused. Your family needs that version. Your future needs that version. Your calling needs that version. The world needs that version. If you remain inconsistent, they will never meet the version of you that carries the solution they need. Someone's inspiration is locked inside your obedience. Someone's healing is connected to your discipline. Someone's breakthrough is tied to your consistency. Your destiny is not just about you. It is connected to people you may never meet. If you stop, they suffer. If you quit, they miss their blessing. If you remain inconsistent, a generation loses what God put in you. Force yourself to be consistent because your purpose is bigger than your feelings. Feelings change, but purpose remains. Feelings fluctuate, but calling remains. Feelings deceive, but destiny remains. Do not serve your feelings, serve your purpose. Do not obey your emotions, obey your assignment. You may not feel like praying, pray anyway. You may not feel like working, work anyway. You may not feel like growing, grow anyway. You may not feel like rising, rise anyway. Your feelings are temporary. Your calling is eternal. When you force yourself to be consistent, you train your spirit to lead and your flesh to follow. The flesh does not like discipline, but discipline liberates you. Discipline frees you from the chaos of inconsistency. Discipline aligns your mind with purpose. Discipline is the proof that you value your destiny. There will be moments when life hits you hard. Moments when storms rise. Moments when discouragement comes. Moments when exhaustion visits. Moments when the enemy whispers, stop. But those moments are the moments when consistency matters the most. Consistency is not measured on the days when everything is easy. It is measured on the days when everything is difficult. Consistency is revealed in adversity. When pressure comes, do you continue or collapse? When temptation comes, do you rise or fall? When delays come, do you trust or complain? When trials come, do you stand or shrink? Every test exposes your consistency. Every challenge reveals your discipline. Every opposition reveals your commitment. To force yourself to be consistent means to declare to your destiny, I will not betray you again. To declare to your calling, I will not abandon you anymore. To declare to your future, I will not postpone you any longer. Discipline is the language of serious people. Consistency is the lifestyle of those who refuse to waste their lives. If God is to lift you, you must show him you are ready. And readiness is not in your words, it is in your routine. Your routine tells the truth. Your habits tell the truth. Your discipline tells the truth. Words can lie, but consistency cannot. When you force yourself to be consistent, you align your life with truth. You align your spirit with discipline. You align your destiny with growth. My brothers and sisters, hear me clearly. Consistency will cost you something. It will cost comfort. It will cost laziness. It will cost excuses. It will cost temporary pleasures. It will cost time. It will cost energy. It will cost sacrifices. But inconsistency will cost you everything: your dreams, your future, your purpose, your peace, your potential. Pay the price for consistency now, or pay the price of regret later. The cost of discipline is small compared to the cost of disappointment. The pain of consistency is temporary, but the reward is eternal. Every day you stay consistent, you are building something inside you that nobody can take away. You are building strength. You are building endurance. You are building character. You are building destiny. Force yourself to be consistent, because inconsistency is an enemy that wears the mask of comfort. It tells you, rest now. It tells you, do it later. It tells you, you deserve a break. But those whispers lead to stagnation. Those whispers lead to delay. Those whispers lead to distractions. Those whispers lead to wasted years. Many people look back and regret, not because God failed them, but because they failed themselves. They failed to stay consistent. They failed to protect their discipline. They failed to guard their commitment. But you must be different. You must rise above your past patterns. You must break the cycle of inconsistency. You must step into the version of you that can carry destiny. Force yourself to be consistent. Even when your mind resists, even when your body complains, even when your emotions rise against you, even when your environment discourages you, even when people doubt you, even when results take time, even when the journey feels slow, even when motivation disappears, even when fear knocks, even when the enemy attacks. Consistency is your answer. Consistency is your defense. Consistency is your path. Consistency is your weapon. Consistency is your protection. Consistency is your strength. Force yourself to be consistent until consistency becomes natural. Force yourself until discipline becomes joy. Force yourself until routine becomes rhythm. Force yourself until sacrifice becomes normal. Force yourself until faith becomes sight. Force yourself until progress becomes momentum. Force yourself until your spirit becomes stronger than your flesh. Force yourself until heaven recognizes your persistence. Force yourself until your destiny opens. Force yourself to be consistent. When you conquer inconsistency, you unlock the version of yourself that destiny has been waiting for. There is a version of you that heaven designed, a version of you that carries strength you have not tasted, wisdom you have not touched, discipline you have not practiced, and glory you have not experienced. But that version cannot appear in a life ruled by inconsistency. Inconsistency hides your true identity. It covers your potential like a fog covering a mountain. It makes you forget what you are capable of. It blinds you to the greatness planted inside you by God. Every time you allow inconsistency to lead your life, you are postponing the arrival of the person you were meant to be. Destiny is patient, but destiny is not stagnant. It waits for your transformation. It waits for your alignment. It waits for your obedience. Destiny cannot open for the version of you that quits, but it will open wide for the version of you that perseveres. The truth is, the version of you that destiny is waiting for is not created in a single moment of inspiration, but in countless moments of discipline. Moments when you choose to rise instead of sleep. Moments when you choose to work instead of waste time. Moments when you choose to pray instead of complain. Moments when you choose to move forward even when the path is uncomfortable. These repetitive, seemingly ordinary choices form the foundation of extraordinary transformation. Your destiny is not unlocked by a single decision. It is unlocked by consistent decisions. Every day you stay committed, a piece of the future version of you comes alive. Every day you stay disciplined, another part of your destiny sharpens. Every day you show up, something inside you wakes up. When you conquer inconsistency, you stop betraying your own progress. So many people sabotage themselves, not because they are incapable, but because they are unstable in their effort. They begin with fire, but cannot maintain the flame. They start with passion, but cannot sustain the pace. They dream of greatness, but tolerate habits that keep them small. Inconsistency makes you build with one hand and destroy with the other. You take one step forward and 2 steps backward. You rise today and collapse tomorrow. You grow today and shrink next week. You fast for 3 days and then disappear for 3 months. You study for 1 hour and then get distracted for 1 week. You work on your goals one morning and forget them for 10 mornings. You pray with intensity one night and sleep through the next 5. This cycle creates frustration because your spirit knows you can be more, but your habits keep you trapped. But when you conquer inconsistency, the cycle breaks. Momentum builds, confidence rises. Your life stops zigzagging and starts advancing in a straight line. You start to see the results that were always possible, but never sustained. Conquering inconsistency means you no longer wait for motivation to move. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a resident. Motivation may come once a week. Discipline shows up daily. Motivation is emotional. Discipline is spiritual. Motivation says, I feel like it. Discipline says, do it anyway. When you conquer inconsistency, you stop living by emotion and start living by intention. You stop allowing your mood to dictate your movement. You stop allowing your feelings to determine your future. Feelings can be deceptive. They rise in the morning and fall in the afternoon. They encourage you today and discourage you tomorrow. If you build your destiny on feelings, your destiny will collapse. But when you conquer inconsistency, you anchor your life in something deeper than feelings. You anchor it in purpose. You anchor it in commitment. You anchor it in conviction. You anchor it in the understanding that destiny requires stability, not excitement. Inside you, there is a version crafted for impact. This version is confident, disciplined, focused, courageous, spiritually alert, emotionally strong, and mentally fortified. This version is faithful with small things and ready for big things. This version is not shaken by temporary storms because it knows the assignment is eternal. This version does not fear the journey because it trusts the one who designed the path. This version works with precision. This version prays with fire. This version speaks with authority. This version shows up whether the season is dry or fruitful. This version does not hesitate when called. This version does not give excuses. This version does not bow to distraction. This version does not negotiate with laziness. This version honors time, honors the calling, honors the process, and honors God. But this version only appears when inconsistency dies. Your destiny cannot be carried by the weak version of you. It cannot be carried by the lazy version of you. It cannot be carried by the distracted version of you. It cannot be carried by the fearful version of you. It can only be carried by the version of you that is disciplined enough to show up again and again. When you conquer inconsistency, you create spiritual rhythm. Rhythm is powerful because it builds momentum. Momentum is the invisible force that makes progress easier. A person who is consistent does not need extreme effort every day. They only need small effort repeated consistently. Over time, small effort becomes massive impact. Small obedience becomes big breakthrough. Small seeds become great harvest. Inconsistency kills rhythm. It breaks the flow. It forces you to restart. Restarting again and again drains your spirit. It steals your joy. It weakens your confidence. It creates spiritual fatigue. But when you conquer inconsistency, rhythm is restored. You begin to move with grace. You begin to think clearly. You begin to feel alignment. You begin to sense direction. You begin to witness open doors. You begin to attract opportunities. You begin to receive revelation. You begin to carry authority. This is why destiny waits for the version of you that can sustain rhythm, not stop it. There are blessings that cannot be released until you reach the level of consistency required to handle them. God does not withhold blessings to punish you. He withholds them to protect you. If He gives you something you cannot sustain, it will crush you. If He gives you influence while you are inconsistent, your inconsistency will destroy your influence. If He gives you opportunity while your discipline is weak, the opportunity will slip from your hands. If He elevates you while you are unstable, the height will become dangerous. Before God reveals destiny, He requires consistency. Consistency proves maturity. Consistency proves readiness. Consistency proves responsibility. When you conquer inconsistency, you signal to heaven that you can be trusted with more. You demonstrate that you will not abandon what God gives. You reveal that you are ready for the next level. There is a version of you that wakes up with purpose, not confusion. A version that plans with clarity, not anxiety. A version that moves with direction, not distraction. A version that sows daily, grows daily, prays daily, disciplines itself daily. This version of you is not born out of wishful thinking, but out of consistent action. Every time you push through resistance, you strengthen this version. Every time you silence excuses, You empower this version. Every time you choose purpose over comfort, you feed this version. The more consistent you become, the more powerful this version becomes. Eventually, inconsistency loses its grip. The old version of you fades. The unstable version becomes weak. The procrastinating version becomes silent. The fearful version becomes irrelevant. Consistency slowly transforms you into the person destiny saw from the beginning. Conquering inconsistency requires confronting yourself honestly. You cannot overcome what you refuse to acknowledge. You must admit where you have been weak. Admit where you have been careless. Admit where you have been lazy. Admit where you have made excuses. Admit where you abandoned your responsibilities. Admit where you allowed emotions to control your actions. Admit where you tolerated distraction. Honest self-evaluation is painful but necessary. Growth begins when honesty begins. When you acknowledge the areas where inconsistency has ruled your life, you take back authority. You regain direction. You begin the journey toward alignment. When you conquer inconsistency, you reclaim parts of yourself you lost. You rediscover the strength you buried. You reconnect with the discipline you neglected. You reignite the fire that once burned inside you. The path to the strongest version of yourself will challenge you. It will stretch you. It will demand sacrifices. It will demand patience. It will demand repetition. It will demand self-control. But with every disciplined step, your identity changes. With every consistent action, your capacity grows. With every day of obedience, your character strengthens. With every moment of resistance against distraction, your roots deepen. The version of you that destiny is waiting for is not fragile. It is fortified. It is stable. It is equipped. It is fierce. It is focused. It is surrendered to God. It is serious about purpose. And it emerges only through consistent action. When you conquer inconsistency, your mindset shifts. You begin to think long-term instead of short-term. You begin to value progress over pleasure. You begin to prioritize purpose over comfort. You begin to honor time as a divine resource. You begin to approach life with intentionality. You begin to understand that greatness is not built in moments, but in habits. The greatest changes in your life will not come from emotional experiences, but from disciplined routines. Inspiration may start you, but consistency completes you. Inspiration may awaken desire, but consistency builds destiny. Inspiration may open your eyes, but consistency strengthens your vision. There is a version of you that does not depend on people's validation. A version that does not collapse when criticized. A version that does not lose focus when distracted. This version is rooted in purpose, not opinion. This version is rooted in calling, not comfort. This version is rooted in God, not emotions. Inconsistency makes you emotionally fragile. Consistency gives you emotional stability. When you conquer inconsistency, you stop being swayed by temporary feelings. You become anchored. You become unshakable. You become internally strong. The storms that used to overwhelm you no longer break you. The doubts that used to silence you no longer defeat you. The distractions that used to derail you no longer hold you. Consistency gives you authority over yourself. It is the mastery of self that reveals the version destiny has been waiting for. When you conquer inconsistency, your faith becomes stronger. Faith grows through repetition. When you pray consistently, your spiritual sensitivity increases. When you read consistently, your understanding deepens. When you work consistently, your productivity multiplies. When you show up consistently, your confidence rises. Faith without consistency becomes unstable. Consistency without faith becomes empty. But when faith and consistency unite, destiny unfolds. When you conquer inconsistency, heaven recognizes your seriousness. Angels respond to obedience. Breakthrough responds to persistence. Favor responds to discipline. Miracles respond to endurance. Destiny does not open for those who want to be great. Destiny opens for those who prepare to be great. Preparation requires consistency. Preparation requires sacrifice. Preparation requires humility. When you conquer inconsistency, you enter a level of preparation that aligns you with divine timing. Many people miss their season because they were not consistent when the season arrived. When the door opened, they were not ready. When the opportunity came, they lacked discipline. When elevation approached, they lacked foundation. But the version of you that destiny is waiting for will not miss the moment. That version is ready. That version is prepared. That version is alert. That version is disciplined. That version is spiritually awake. And conquering inconsistency is what births that version. Even your relationships improve when you conquer inconsistency. You become more dependable, more trustworthy, more stable, more intentional. Others begin to take you seriously because you now take yourself seriously. Inconsistency damages relationships. Not only with others, but with yourself. When you constantly break, when you promise it to yourself, you lose self-respect. But when you conquer inconsistency, you rebuild trust within yourself. You begin to believe in your own word again. You begin to rely on your own discipline again. And this internal trust becomes a foundation for external success. When you conquer inconsistency, your environment changes. You begin to attract people who value growth, people who value discipline, people who value purpose, people who challenge you, sharpen you, and push you upward. Inconsistency attracts people who are comfortable staying the same. Consistency attracts people who live with purpose. Destiny requires the right environment. When you conquer inconsistency, you create that environment. And the version of you that destiny has been waiting for begins to emerge. Not suddenly, but steadily. Not instantly, but intentionally. Every day a little stronger. Every day a little wiser. Every day a little more disciplined. Every day a little more aligned. Every day a little closer to the person you were created to be. When you conquer inconsistency, you unlock the version of yourself that destiny has been waiting for.